record.
Request remote control. Maybe that will do it.
Uh,
I don't know what Ooh, start remote control. You're controlling. Oh, wicked.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh, oh my god! He's got the screen.
I've got the screen.
He's got control.
You're gonna find out all your dark details.
Oh no! Like history. No.
It won't let me go on to the first one though. Oh no, it has now.
Okay.
It's just a bit slow, isn't it?
Let's see. So now it's just gonna go to full size. Oh, so my nose is just so red.
It looks like you're recording. Are you recording?
I think I am now. Does it say stop video, mute, pause recording? It seems to be recording, but it doesn't have like the little recordy button that it had last time, but it says pause and stop recording. So
Okay.
all right. Ugh. Ugh. Okay. Oh no! What? Are you pushing things?
Yeah.
Do you feel good with the power of the mouse now?
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sniffly. Do you suffer with the hay fever in Bergen?
I don't know about. I don't know. I thought so at times. I think I'm allergic to cats, and I used to have a cat, my parents, and I wasn't sure whether that was hay fever or not. I do suffer. I do get sinus problems. Certain. I think either possibly from. I don't know. It sort of seems a bit random. I think it might be sort of hay fever related. It might be sort of wheat related. Sometimes if I've been drinking, if I have a heavy night on the beers, depending on the type of beer, I can have like just like blocked nose and stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting that it's the beer.
But also, I feel like it's also certain times of the year.
Yeah, so it like correlates with hay fever season.
Possibly, yeah. But maybe not like exactly like the whole. It's not like the whole summer. It's just like a bit of it.
Yeah.
July. I never pay that much attention to sort of like scientifically write it down, take notes.
Yeah. You should record all the details. You should periodize your hay fever.
Yeah, well, I should, and then I'd probably know by now. I could have done that years ago.
Yeah.
But the same with my training.
Yeah. I wish I could. Yeah.
And your diet.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sleep and mood state.
Yeah, mood state. I mean, just having like a sort of physiological diary, I suppose.
Yeah, a tracker of some sort. If only
not just a diary. I mean, diaries are cool, I think, on their own, to be honest. I've never had one of those. But without sort of tracking your daily events and your thoughts, I think even just what you're up to. You're pulling faces at me. Oh, you're pulling faces.
Oh no, I'm just trying to get the shit out of my teeth because I have the smoothie and I can't really see the screen, so like I'll look back at it and I'll be like a big giant thing or something. So, all right.
Cool. So should we run through how we're gonna do it first, or should we just do it?
Let's just like try to bash it out and see if we can just like do it since we're like, I'm feeling chill, you're feeling chill. Maybe we
Yeah.
could just chill along through it or something.
Yeah. Probably better.
Yeah, potentially so.
Right, I'm going to fill this up
Okay.
with a flask.
Okay. And then, yeah. Hmm.
Right.
Okay.
We are live. Hi, I'm Richard Horner, and this is Casey Barnes, and we're going to take you through critical force of the finger flexors and why it is important to rock climbers. So, oh, it's not letting me twist. Twist. There you go.
No. Oh, yep. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. I've got it. That's basically what I just said. It's we're going to look into critical force, why it's important, why other sort of physiological parameters like VO2 max, heart rate, lactate threshold, and max voluntary contraction, which have been tried to use, people have tried to use. Sorry, haven't really done the job for climbing.
Yeah.
And then we'll take you through a critical force test.
Mhm.
There you go. Am I doing this or are you doing it? It doesn't seem to be working for me.
Yeah.
There you go. It sort of does in the end.
Oh, it's just gonna get big though.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So here we go.
okay.
Okay.
First, we're going to look into the physiology of the forearms of the climbers and some recent papers and work that's looked into the oxidative capacity, basically how much oxygen the reoxygenation of your forearms, how much when you right, I'm going to start that again. Climbing as a sport involves a lot of time isometrically contracting statically, holding onto the wall in between moves, thinking about your next moves. During these periods of isometric static contraction.
Sorry, my laptop was like about to die.
Okay, no worries. You're blocking blood flow to your forearms, and in between the moves is when you're getting the blood back to your forearms, and when you're getting the oxygen to the muscles to help you move forward.
Yes. Okay.
What has been found to be like a distinct parameter and to be define climbers from non-climbers and different abilities of climbers is how quickly climbers can get blood flow back into the forearms and how far the blood flow can be absorbed into the muscle. This is known as the forearm's oxidative capacity, which is a distinct parameter for climbers, and like I said, differentiates between groups. Do you want to look into? I think it's your turn now. So, shall we go to forearm adaptations?
Yeah.
If it wants to.
Rebel. Okay.
There you go.
Why is it being so bitchy?
Maybe because I've got control as well.
Yeah, doesn't like it. It feels like it's torn. Um.
torn.
It's torn. It's mentally and physically torn.
So
Why is it?
so
Yeah.
we've looked
Okay.
into
Right. So I think you've just covered some of the forearm adaptations, as in just kind of reviewing the. So when we talk about climbers, we talk about we're thinking about the local aerobic capacity within the forearm, not the full body aerobic capacity. Specifically because of the demands of climbing. So like you said before, the skeletal muscle oxidative capacity and the ability to use and get oxygen back to the forearm has been shown as a performance determinant in climbers and specific to climbers. And this increases the capillarization and vasodilation within the blood vessels, which allows the increase of blood flow, which happens as a climber develops. Then we also think about other demands on the forearm that that require the ability to get oxygen is actually the phosphocreatine, like for example in boulders. It's a relatively like short sport with only about 6 seconds between holds, and they need to be able to get oxygen back to get that creatine to fuel.
regenerate the phosphocreatine.
Yeah.
In between moves and in between goes. I think if you're a competition climber, you've got 4 minutes to complete a high intensity short problem. You're going to have 3 or 4 goes at it max. In between goes, you're really going to want to be.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Which means you're gonna want to have a high sort of oxidative capacity, really.
Yeah, which shows that endurance is important too. I mean, so the aerobic capacity is, yeah, exactly. Yes. So it is shown that sport climbers have a longer time to failure when working at 45 to 60% of their MVC, as in they have longer endurance than boulders, which makes sense just based off.
They don't have a specific longer force time interval, so the endurance has not been shown to be distinct in terms of how much force they're putting into over the amount of time.
So what's that? Sorry.
So it's not been shown to be distinct between boulderers and sport climbers in terms of the amount of force that they're putting in relative to the amount of time they're on the wall, or they're doing their hangboarding. So sport climbers I spend a lot longer doing there's a longer time to failure.
Yeah.
But boulders are pulling harder because of their MVCs harder.
Yeah.
Equivalent of the force to time is not distinct. It's not significantly distinct, at least, because of the difference in force between the sport climbers.
Okay, so
anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So.
No. I'm interested. So, like when you mean force to time, like what are you referencing? Like as in like a set period of time, or?
So on the papers we're talking about, sort of the hemodynamic papers by Fryer.
Okay.
This
is just like
Felipe.
Oh, because
Yeah,
this was just like intermittent time to failure without the monitoring the blood.
yeah. So what you're talking about is time to failure. So
Yeah, yeah.
how long do they perform
Mm,
their 7 on 3 off?
yeah.
Which on one paper I noticed the
Mm,
boulderers performed was shorter than the control. They weren't
mm.
even, not even climbers.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that one, which doesn't like make any sense, really.
Yeah, exactly. But
Like,
it's because of the force that the boulders have to put in because they've got a much higher MVC. They're
mm,
40% of the boulders MVC is massive, compared to
yeah,
the
yeah,
general Joe's MVC.
yeah.
So it's similar to with sport climbers, like boulders maybe spent half the amount of time or significantly less amount of time
Mm-hmm.
for failure. But once you shake into the amount of force each person's put in for that time scale they were performing the task,
Mm.
uh,
Oh, okay. Okay, I
it
see what
ends
you
up
mean now.
being relatively equivalent. Like the sport climbers are still higher, just not
Mm.
significantly higher.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of
Why
these.
critical force might distinguish that.
Mm. Well, I think
I don't
that's
know if that's
the.
fair or not.
I
But
think that's.
certainly, I think you'd be able to distinguish uh, a higher critical force would be found for sport climbers than boulderers.
Yeah, and then it's relative as well, which a lot of the testing has been done in the uh, percentage of MVC, which we'll talk about in a little bit about how it's not necessarily relative
Yeah,
or accurate. Do you want to get going on the critical
on the
force?
critical force and what critical force is. Yeah, go on. Let's have a go at that.
Yeah,
Uh,
because you got a pretty good history understanding of that
yeah.
now. Yeah.
Critical force is a sort of relationship between power and a function of time, or your ability to carry on that task. It was sort of one of the first people to sort of discover it or begin to understand it is the British physiologist A.V. Hill back in 1925.
Mm-hmm.
Correlated the world record times for different athletic disciplines, starting from 100 meters to the
Mm-hmm.
marathon,
Mm-hmm.
as well as swimming disciplines, and found a sort of hyperbolic relationship where it's like a curved line that sort of levels off to a straight line between the time and the power. So the shorter the distance, so the 100 meters, you're giving a full all out maximum effort, but you can only sustain that for a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, whereas the longest distance, you can sort of the time drops off to this concept or this leveling off point, which is critical power or critical force, and this is regarded as your sort of maximum sort of aerobic threshold,
Mm-hmm.
uh, where you can sort of theoretically continue the task indefinitely.
Well,
Obviously, like in practice, I think it lasts about 60 minutes or so. You might be able to carry on before other factors sort of
yeah,
cause you,
yeah. I mean,
you
it's still limited. It's not like indefinite. Like it's still like limited by glycogen stores and your like hyperthermia and
it's, yeah, it's just
but yeah, you can sustain it for a pretty long
neuromuscular
time.
issues, central issues. There's plenty of external factors that are going to cause you to stop. But
But yeah, it's
theoretically, it's the aerobic threshold, isn't it? So, I
yeah,
mean,
it's maximal.
you should be using just yeah, your sort of aerobic metabolite or metabolism to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas anywhere above above that point, you're limited by your sort of anaerobic uh, metabolic stores, your
Mm,
glycogen, and your phosphocreatine systems. And so
mm,
uh, the time to failure, or to the time when you can't carry on, is going to be predictable
yeah,
by this relationship.
yeah. So I'll just explain this little graphy thing really
Yeah, go
quick.
on.
Yeah, just the
Great.
so the W is the W prime, and that is the representative of the anaer anaerobic threshold, or the energy store, that is also called the energy store component, which is above the critical force. So at different levels above that, you can see these little boxes that kind of like represent that. So as you could theoretically work a critical force, dip into these energy stores, go back down, and still be able to maintain critical force. But once you've used up these anaerobic energy stores, and you can no longer go above critical force and be able to sustain it, so you'll ultimately come to failure.
Yeah, if you're sustaining a specific power output, you will
Mm,
fail roughly at the spot on the hyperbolic curve. So
mm,
it's a good predictor, and it's a
yeah.
good way of sort of allocating training.
Mm.
Uh,
So
moving on.
yeah, but so I think the big important thing that we spoke about before was that the critical force is pretty much one of the only ways that we can actually accurately predict metabolic thresholds within climbing as for now, because the um, basically we have to look specifically at the forearm, which we can't do through a VO2 max test, because that looks at the uh, full body aerobic anaerobic capacity versus
Yeah,
what climbing demands specifically on the forearm.
yeah.
Typically,
I think like VO2 max has not been shown to correlate
no,
to like at all with
yeah,
the demands of climbing. Same goes for
yeah,
heart rate. I suppose the good thing about critical force is it sort of integrates all the metabolic and contractile and central and periphery sort of demands into
mm,
one specific test.
yeah,
And it can be performed on single, or it can be tested on single joints as well as
synergistic,
multiple. Yeah,
yeah.
and across species, which I wanted to mention.
Oh
Just
yeah,
to
you
get it
got
out
it.
there. It did it. Uh, yeah, and it's been shown to be to correlate with racehorses and ghost crabs
What
and
ghost crabs?
lungless salamanders.
Oh, the salamanders climb as well. They're very
Salamanders
sticky.
climb, exactly. My mate's got one on his foot.
oh,
And
oh,
a
like,
little tattoo of Stu, actually. You met Stu, yeah, he's got a tattoo of
oh
a
yeah.
salamander on his foot.
Oh, I like stew. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so I guess just kind of bringing back from salamanders, which I really like the salamander thing. I want to
Yeah.
climb like a salamander. Um, so basically, in climbing, both in research and in training, it's really common to use percentage of um, maximal voluntary contraction. The problem with this is, for a really, really long time, it's been shown that percentage of MVC doesn't correlate with metabolic exercise intensity domains. So basically, when you might be thinking you're working your endurance, but you're working on your strength or power.
Yeah, yeah, you're too high.
Yeah.
You may be working anaerobically.
Yeah. Or I mean, there's always the chance as well that you're working like your endurance, but you're working at such a level that you'd have to work for such a really, really long time to get the same level of adaptation.
Yeah.
It's just basically a guessing game.
Yeah, and I suppose this is a method of having like a distinct
Yeah. And it's,
sort of level to work on.
yeah, exactly. So already said, let's look at this. Yeah, so it's the first way that we have that's accessible to actually look at like what's going at the forearm and to have like a set data point for that to work off of. And then, yeah, so, and for your best endurance related results, to be able to work at your maximal, because I think when you are climbing, you are kind of aiming for your maximal ability. So like you wouldn't want to be training below your aerobic threshold because you're always going to be working at, I mean, I would think so. This is just a thought.
I mean, people are obviously going to be working below their aerobic threshold and do train below it. I just mean if you're looking to get the most, like you said, bang for your buck, or like the most out of your training for the shortest period, then working at your aerobic threshold is the way to do that to get those adaptations.
Nice.
Yes. Skip on to the last falling off the wall, probably.
Oh, yep, going back to the, oh yeah, so like one example of how this could directly benefit a climber, or that they could, it would be beneficial for them to work at their critical force.
Yeah. So you're thinking if you've got a project dialed, a sports project, but you can't do the moves on the actual whole route. So you've managed to work them, and you've got the crux sorted. But by the time you get there, you're knackered and you can't climb through it. That's maybe when you want to be thinking about working on your aerobic capacity, so you're not so boxed by the time you get there.
Yeah. You're so much better at talking than me. Okay, so I guess I already mentioned
my screens are paused, blocked, so you're gonna have to just keep taking it through and telling me what page we're on.
Okay, all right. It keeps flipping forward now. It's rebelling. Right. So we've done the sport climber. So I guess now we're on the why not use percentage of MVC? It's alive.
We've done all that. Right, skip that.
Yeah, we've kind of reviewed that. I guess one quick point that I didn't mention before is like in climbing based testing, the MVC was not shown to correlate with the critical force value. So climbers testing at critical force was going to be anywhere between 31.9 and 60% of their MVC. So that's like a pretty wide range.
That's massive, yeah.
Yeah, so that shows like if you're,
that's exactly what I was talking about. Boulderers and sport climbers being different. About 31 will be closer to the boulderer side, and 60 might be closer to the sport climbers.
But it just shows like how inaccurate the using a percentage of the MVC is.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're on the critical force testing one. So there's been two ways that they've looked at critical force in climbers. They've looked at a maximal all-out test, which basically uses a hangboard that's able to track the force that goes through the hangboard. This is done in a relatively short test, usually done in less than in about like 6 minutes, and it uses intermittent contractions with the climber doing maximal pulling as hard as they possibly can, resting hard as they possibly can, and gradually, as the climber uses their anaerobic stores, what's left is their aerobic capacity. So if you were looking at a squiggly line, that squiggly line would go up really high at the beginning and gradually lower, and then it'll level out. And that leveling out is the what's used to determine their critical force value. The problem with this one is that you need a piece of equipment that either a force plate on or a force plate that's integrated into the hangboard, which can be quite expensive and inaccessible. So the test that we're going to go over that Rich did is a multi-session exhaustive test, which you can do with materials that most climbers have.
You can do at home, yeah.
Which you can do at home.
Which is exactly what I did, because we're all not allowed out of our homes for the last 7 weeks, pretty much. Hey, Luca. Yeah, so this test is pretty simple. Firstly, we want to sort of a little disclaimer that you want to be sort of trained on a hangboard.
Ooh, I've got the disclaimer up.
You got the disclaimer up? Yeah. I'll just give the basics, but just say you really want to be trained on a hangboard. You want to be practiced at the different sort of finger positions that you should be using. You want to be trained on sort of hanging with weights around your waist, and so you're not going to end up shock loading your fingers or overloading your fingers that you're not used to. Yeah,
it's not for somebody that's just started climbing.
yeah, there's plenty. Like, you want to be working on your technique, and you want to be getting out and getting climbing, not worry about this sort of thing if you've just started up.
Yeah,
but if this is a concern to you, then the first part of the test is to get your 7-second max voluntary hang. So that's the most you can do in 10 seconds.
7 seconds.
7 seconds, yeah.
Okay.
Which mine involved hanging about 29-30 k to my waist, and that was about all I could get. Some climbers would get up to sort of their body weight, really.
Yeah.
And then once you got your 7-second test, then you have to do three tests to work out the different W prime markers on your hyperbolic curve. So one would be at 80% of that 7-second max body hang. One's at 65, and the other's at 45.
Mm-hmm. And I think, yeah.
Obviously, that's full body weight, so it's not just the extra weight you're hanging. You want to take. I was taking. I was taking about 30 kilograms off my 45. I was taking 30 kilograms off my weight.
Yeah. So, Rich, I've put your. I'm on the little data page now. So I've got for your 45%, you took you had to take off 26.8 kilograms. For your 60%, you had to take off 9.4 kilograms, and your 80, you had to add on 13.8 kilograms.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think, what was it? I just had to make something. So,
really like for a minute.
It's Blender.
Yeah, go on. What were you going to say?
I feel like
how's the blender? You or me?
What?
I didn't know whether you can hear me or not. and that's the general gist of it. The one thing I would like to say is that when you are taking quite a lot of weight off your body weight, then you want to make sure the pulley system that you're using is as well fixed to the wall, and you're using rated rated climbing equipment that's not going to fail with 30 kilograms hanging off it.
I feel like we should go back to the warning thing, and then maybe we could talk about that there, and then I'll actually can you see the screen again now?
Yeah, you fixed it, yeah.
Okay, so you could talk about how it's important to have good fixing stuff and whatever there. And really quickly I feel like we can make the material thing kind of fun, because we're like, well, I guess I didn't have the weight to use the can and the rice and a thing of garlic and da, 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 da.
Yeah, I've kind of done that on the ones I sent through. So
the ones you sent.
Just one thing quickly. There's using the right equipment, and then there's also knowing how to use the right equipment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've already mentioned that, dickhead.
It's not a load of bollocks. Anyway, you just need to get out on rock, mate.
Just get strong, mate. Yeah, no.
Johnny Dawes would be laughing at this, mate. You can do all your one-arm pull-ups until you're blue in the face. It ain't gonna make you a good climber. What's that? What's that sauce that you're holding?
Is that what he's? That is if you don't have the right weighted equipment.
Yeah, Rich. So why are you calling me a dickhead? I think you're the sort of person that I need to be telling this to, aren't you?
I was rushed. B&Q was closed.
B&Q, that famous climbing store that sells alpine equipment, right?
Alpine equipment. My pulley was working though.
The pulley's a good pulley. That's
no.
Nice. Can't criticize that one.
A nice wide pulley, highly rated.
No.
5 kilonewtons that one.
Oof. How wide is it?
How wide?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It should say on the thing.
That one. That wide.
Yeah.
One digit. One phalange.
Ooh, phalange. Phalange. Yeah, what size cord did you use? Size rope did you use? Did you use a normal climbing rope, or did you use?
I used this. I found this in my rope. Just knocking around. It's a tree climbing rope for creating a friction hitch.
Mm-hmm. Smoothie time.
Smoothie time.
Sorry, we just gotta figure out how to record this thing.
Have you not recorded it?
No, I have recorded it. It's just we've gone on tangent.
We've gone on a complete tangent. Yeah, we're gonna have to cut all that out.
It would be kind of good though if it was perfectly timed and be really good. I'm sure we could put in some of it with hours of editing and professional equipment and some dubbing to make me sound like I know what I'm talking about. It'll just be me with your voice coming out. All right.
So.
Right. So.
Where do you want to start?
I feel like this test I did it okay. I think we did it okay on this slide. So maybe I'm gonna sneeze. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I sort of do that with the? Should we go back to the one before? Do the one before again.
Okay.
We'll run through that again, and I think what's the one before that?
MVC.
Yeah, we didn't really, and then her falling. So go after that. Yeah, go start on there. That's a good point. The two tests.
Okay.
We'll run through that again.
All right.
and then hopefully be able to cut it. Which you just cut like a chunk out and stick this bit in. That'll work.
Yeah, that'll
We
be
need to sort of
fine.
think of a way of closing up as well.
Yeah, like a fun slogan.
A fun. Just like, right, guys.
All right, guys.
Are you gonna? You've got you must have pulley systems and weights and stuff. Get Luca to do the 45. I want to see the pain in his face.
Oh,
I so want to see him do it.
oh, it's good though. I've got like, I'm sure I have some old footage of people doing it, like the one with the integrated force plate.
Yeah.
And yeah, the guy was I mean, him and his missus, they were both like weighted down, like.
Yeah, they were so strong.
Yeah, but they like
babies.
it. I mean, it's cool, but I think like there's a couple things to like, because you're standing, people have like different positions, so that they're like, they'll be like in a lunge position, or both legs will be open. So like, and then there'll be a lot of like really bad shoulder positioning as someone's just like desperately trying to like pull down on this thing.
Yeah.
And but the faces, like when you see people doing it, they're just, or like the after pump, it's such a, because when would you ever drive yourself to like that level of pump normally? But like, I think that's something in itself, like that wouldn't necessarily, I mean, it's quite, I could imagine it be quite fatiguing, but like even going to that level of pump every once in a while to see like how much you can actually handle and stay on and keep being able to produce some form of force. And I think that's another part about the maximal test is like there's no relief, like so like you can't fail.
Yeah, it's even worse. It's even worse.
Yeah,
you can't stop until someone fucking tells you almost. Like,
yeah. Like
there is no fail.
You have a set time, and people will be like, I can't do it. They felt like they're just like resting their hand on the thing, and they have to like put their hand down and then like pulling their hand back up and like, and it just keeps going.
Are you supposed to put your hand down in between?
Yeah, so you go up, the hand goes down, you're not supposed to shake it. Hand goes back up, down. Just to have like a really strict protocol for like when they were doing the testing itself.
Yeah, I've not been putting my hands down, which probably makes it worse.
Yeah, potentially. Maybe you could get like ever so slightly longer if you had that. Like, but it's only like, because it's only 3 seconds. So you're just like.
That's why I've not bothered. I've not been I just sort of do that with my fingers. It's
yeah.
Like,
Right. Okay.
Right, let's get back on it.
Okay. Critical force testing. I'm gonna make this.
Get rid of this thing here.
All right. Alrighty. How do I've done this so many times. How do I make it the slide big arrange? I've done this before.
I know.
Present. There we go.
Present.
I told you to. Why aren't you presenting? Present for me.
Present F5.
All right.
Go into one of your PowerPoints.
Huh? Can you see it?
I mean, at the top, yeah. One of the PowerPoint options.
But it should
At the moment, you're in like, I don't know what it is. Looks like a sim or something. See, next one along. PowerPoint.
Well, it's not PowerPoint. Is
it not?
No.
Slides.
It's a slide. The PowerPoint is like my undergrad presentation thing.
Okay, sorry. You work that out. I'm gonna go for a wee.
Okay. All right. So, critical force finger flexors on tester. I'm going to go over some physiology, timing demands and hormone adaptations, what critical force, why it's important, why you should base your training on FMPC, how to test critical force. Right. Da-da-da. Okay. Da-da-da.
Seems like you're still struggling.
No, it's fine. It's just gonna have to do. I don't know why it's got the stupid heading thing.
Mine's paused again, I think.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Unable to load file.
Reload.
Oh, have you got? Oh, you can see that already.
All right. So
View.
Present. This is emotional experience. The only thing, like, I feel like maybe, I don't know. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Go on.
The only thing is, like, you know how the we talked about like hemodynamics and stuff, but we didn't talk about like the demands of climbing. I don't think. But I'm not sure.
We're talking about oxidative stuff. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's loads of other stuff we could end up talking about.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You mean like finger?
Yeah.
What do you mean by demands of climbing?
Yeah, just like that it's on the forearm. I don't know.
It's forearms and fingers, and I talked about static and
Yeah. Okay.
butter.
Yeah. Stop flipping. Stay. Okay. Right.
You need to make it big. Oh no, that's how it was before. I think. I don't know.
Is it big? Is it good?
I mean, it's okay.
All right. Okay. Cool.
Cool. So, Katie, tell us about the maximal all-out test.
All right. So the maximal all-out test is basically a way of determining your critical force at a single test that is done through a little bit of fancy equipment. It's either a fingerboard that records your force as you are doing the test, or sometimes they have someone can be standing on a force plate, and it's the same thing that records it. So basically, what is the protocol of this test is doing the intermittent contractions, but each an individual contraction of the 7 seconds, the climber is pulling as hard as they possibly can. And the whole concept of this is using up the anaerobic energy stores. So what's left is the critical.
All that's left.
Huh?
All that's left is your sort of aerobic energy stores, I guess.
Yeah.
You're getting from the oxygen you're breathing, which is mad.
Right. So so the test goes, the initial pull, it tends to be like quite high, and then some climbers maintain it, and then it goes down and trickles down as they use the anaerobic, and then it kind of plateaus, and that plateau is what's used to determine the critical force value. And this is a great test if you have the equipment, but getting a hold of the equipment is not always possible.
Difficult, expensive if you want it yourself. Otherwise, you're going to have to go via a climbing coach or a team like Lattice or somewhere
Yeah, that has the equipment.
that has the equipment. The other option, if you're stuck at home for 7 weeks, is to rummage around in your shed and find what climbing equipment you do have, like a pulley system.
Yeah.
And some ropes, and a harness and some weights,
Yeah.
and then perform the test yourself. This is done by doing a 7-second max hang that you can possibly achieve. For mine was roughly about 30 kilograms, weighted.
What did
Yeah,
you use to weight it?
around my waist. Sorry.
What did you use to,
What did
to
you
weight it?
use? I used what I could find. I think there might have been a tin of beans in there to finish me off, as it were.
Okay, so I
So you
guess.
do a 7-second max hang. This would be, going back to my old analogy about the world records. This would be like 100 meters, and then you do percentages of
Ooh.
that.
Oh, I guess we're jumping a little bit ahead. So like before that, we've got our words of caution, don't we?
Words of caution. Oh, okay. Have you moved the screen on? Have you?
Yeah. Oh, can you not see it again?
No, it keeps sticking.
Uh,
Don't worry. Or do.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So we've got some words of caution. If you are going to be performing this test, you want to make sure you're trained to use a fingerboard, that you have used one before, that you've used a fingerboard with weights around your waist, so you're used to that, and you're used to how to load the fingerboard, and what different grips you should or should not use, and the protocol of keeping your fingers dry and the fingerboards well brushed. And there's plenty of YouTube videos out there to guide you on that sort of thing. It's not for us to go into, but it's a word of warning.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Don't do it unless you're experienced with fingerboarding, not for people that haven't been climbing for a while. And then really do a thorough warm up. It is a maximal test, so there is the risk of injury, even for experienced climbers. We recommend doing a half crimp or open hand grip position. This basically puts a lot less strains on your A2 pulleys and reducing risk of injury in that way. Also, the test, you will feel an intense pump, but you should not feel pain. If you feel any pain, you should not continue the test. Intense pump is normal.
There you go. Next.
Yeah. Clicky, clicky. Oh, go back.
Go back. Yeah, so this is a protocol for the test. You can use a 20 mil edge with all the equipment you need: a harness, weights, we've discussed earlier, pulley system. Make sure this pulley system is designed for the task that you're going to be using it for. Yeah, specifically, if you're taking a lot of weight off your body weight, then you want to make sure it's well attached to wherever you're attaching it.
Yeah.
I can speak from experience. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You had an eye hook, or that sadly perished.
Perished in my trials, but.
But yeah. So
be warned. Once you've got your 7-second max hang, then you need to take a long rest to make sure you're fully recovered before you do your 60% of your 7-second max hang. That's including body weight.
Mm-hmm.
Work out the 60% weight for that, and then take off or add on weights to get to that level. Perform that test, and then in the subsequent days, you want to perform the 80% and the 45% to get the different levels of W prime on your critical force test.
Yeah, and you really want to, like, a day, ideally 2 days in between each, and you want to do this before training so that you're not fatigued. If you do your training after, you will feel it a bit, but yeah, just having that rest is really important to get accurate.
To get an accurate result, and
Yeah.
to make sure when you
Yeah.
put it into the calculator that you're working to the right level.
Yeah, exactly. And then you do want to record the to the second what time that you fail at of each of these. So
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'd just be putting yourself through all that pain for no reason at all. You haven't got the time.
And then I guess we've got your results on the screen.
Yeah.
So
this is how I got on.
What we did is we plugged this all in. It's pretty cool. The first researcher colleagues to actually like bring critical force to climbers on ResearchGate, we've included the link right here, have published a calculator that you can determine your critical force, which is cool. So what we did is we put in all Rich's numbers. So 80%, he got 120 seconds, 60%, he got 252 seconds, and 45, he had a long 450 seconds of pure joy. And
it was horrendous, by the way. It was awful. And so what my critical force comes in at 36.9.
Can't wait to do it again. 36.9.
Which indicates you're taking off a lot of weight if you want to be training at that level.
So, which is 42.1 kilograms of body weight, of weight that he's got to remove to be training a critical force. But yeah, so the calculator is super easy to use. You just put in your body weight, how much weight you added. It automatically calculates the total weight and the percentage of body weight that it can do, which is really cool. It calculates the total load that he should be using for 40, 60, and 80%. So if you don't feel like doing the mathematics with that, then it does it for you.
Move it up.
So, which is cool. And then, yeah, it calculates your critical force and as well as your W prime for you there.
Does it?
Yeah. So, yeah, so it's got like critical force percentage of max hang, critical force percentage of body mass, and you've got your critical force value that it provides you with. It also has some other like graphs and some other values, but these are the ones that you can apply directly to your training. And then
right, that should do it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I did
wrap this up.
One more slide. But...
One more slide. Do you want to go through that?
I can. Yeah, since I threw it on you. So one way of using the critical force in your training is endurance hangboard repeaters. So that's working 7 seconds on, 3 seconds off. Traditionally, like they advise you do like 30 to 40% of your MVC. So this like this develops like a slow and steady build up to pump, similar to what you would be doing in a long endurance route. But if you use critical force, it has the same kind of feel to it, same thing, but you are working at your aerobic threshold, which is shown to have, like you said earlier, the more bang for your buck, and training to gains. So
I mean, the other advantage of doing the test is then understanding at what level you are climbing when you are climbing at your aerobic
exactly.
threshold.
Yeah.
So if you just perform the test once and you never want to go through it ever again, and then at least you know what it feels like. So when you are at the wall
training aerobically, you'll know.
Training aerobically, you'll personally know what level that could be.
Yeah. I mean, I guess specifically you'd have to you'd run through your tests, like you do your 45, you do whatever,
You get your
and then you've got your critical force value. At least train once at your critical force value to know what that feels like.
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
So.
And then so this style of training that I was showing before is basically stems from traditional sport, where they work at a high volume with like a relatively low intensity. So this induces adaptations in improved capillary density and size, increased mitochondria, aerobic enzymes, and fat oxidation, and some more efficient usage of or sparing of glycogen usage, and reduced rates of lactate, increased lactate clearance, like markers, obviously. But those are all things that are beneficial to climbers as well. So you can see how that could be transfer over to climbing when we're looking specifically at the forearm.
Yeah.
And then I didn't tidy up the reference page, but
the references can be on the YouTube page.
Yeah.
If anyone's interested.
Yeah. Anyone cares to read a bit more?
Thank you for your time.
Yes. Okay. Right. Cool. I think I might be able to pull footage together with that.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, like how often do we want to go through it? I like what she's done there. She's got like two pulleys to keep the weights away from her, is it?
Yeah, I think using two pulleys
is ideal.
I think it's a mix, because I think I know Loudest, when they do their testing, they just use one really good pulley. Like, I think having the appropriate rope diameter makes a huge difference. When you have a thinner cord, I think it does a lot better. I see a lot of hangboard setups that do that to keep when I tried it here, when we've got just little small pulleys to reduce body weight, it seemed to do better when there was two pulleys. But I think really just having a nice wide pulley and the right size cord makes a big difference. Yeah,
and you've got to work with what you've got.
Yeah. I think it's definitely as you add more weight to it, the system definitely it really shows the difference between if you have a good pulley or not. I think the pulley you have is a really good setup.
Yeah.
Lucky that you're an arborist.
An arborist. I've got some shitty ones as well. I'm probably going to swap it for a shitty one.
Yeah.
I mean, just I should probably use this for work. It's brand new. And I've got some old work ones, which I can just use that instead, and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, it is nice.
Yeah. I was just looking at because I was just looking at that same, because I was trying to track down, because I remember Dave and they were all Googling over this, ooh, we've got the good pulley now. Ooh, all excited, way too excited to have a nice pulley for the testing. But I think they should really like when they should be a little bit more precise with like the equipment that they are using in a lot of the papers, because they don't say like what pulley they're using or like the specifics on that. And I think you can have a lot of like accidental drag
Yeah.
with when you use the when you don't use a pulley or a system that's appropriate.
Mm.
And I have seen like little tutorials and stuff online here and there, but I think it could be like definitely going.
Do you know where?
More.
Again, going back to this video, where her weight is.
Oh yeah.
Is that significant? Does it need to be like low to the ground?
I don't know if it needs to be low. I think it's a consistency thing. Like I don't know all the fancy like engineering stuff.
Technical engineering stuff.
Because I mean I think it can change stuff. I think yeah, I've read like tiny bits about it. Like I think it's just like in practice, I think it's more of a consistency thing. Like if it's kind of like when you have like the watches that like, let's say your heart rate, and they're gonna be above your heart rate typically, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but like at least you know, like you have your this is where I'm at, and it's either like progressing or digressing or whatever. And so you know about where you're at, and you have like an idea. It's just about consistency within the system, I think.
Cool.
Yeah. We made it through this thing.
So, do you want me to send you some footage?
Yes.
Or do you want me to like edit it?
I mean, you can just send me the footage, I guess.
And then I think probably like I've gone through a little sort of. I tried to do a little sort of presentation at the beginning. Like we probably just cut it all out. I think.
I don't know. Like we'll see what it is. Maybe it's good. I think that
it's sort of okay. There's the bit about like sort of warming up properly and stuff. I sort of I don't always come across like I care.
No, I think some of your, especially when you're talking, like when you get on tangents with this, it's like quite relative.
Okay.
So I think it's okay, and I think that it adds like an entertainment value, like the cans and stuff. So I think that's really good. But yeah, I think.
All right. Well,
But yeah.
Should I send that through to you then?
Yeah, that would be great.
What have you got? What should I do? Send it to Google or something? Or
I think Google's the best way potentially. I'm not really sure with big files like that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Have I got your?
You should do on the uni one. Stopping the video.
I'm gonna.
Oh, that's.
I'm thinking of going to. Yes, that's good. Wicked.
I hope it's record. Wait. Yeah.
I think when you stop it, you have to let it sort of download.
Oh, okay.